Hello, welcome to a video about the shit they don't tell you about postpartum. I need to lead with a couple of disclaimers. I am so blessed. I have a beautiful son, a wonderful partner, and a very simple, beautiful life I'm so grateful for here in the countryside of Bolivia. And me making this video and complaining does not take away from any of that. I really wanted to make this particular video so moms know that they're not the only ones going through these things postpartum that you don't see so commonly discussed on the internet. I went down the rabbit hole, of course, leading up to Thomas' birth, my son's birth, about postpartum things, what it's going to look like, and I really wasn't looking forward to the first couple of weeks with lack of sleep. But a lot that followed and trailed after that, I didn't expect and didn't hear about in a lot of the postpartum videos. So that's why I wanted to share this. If you are very hormonal at the end of your pregnancy, really needing to not feel overwhelmed and feel uplifted, this is not the video for you. I recommend going to listen to Meditation Mama on Spotify. It's an amazing meditation. That'll make you feel a lot better. If this is your first time here, my name is Jessica. I am a brand new mom. I gave birth for the first time at 36 years old, 7.5 months ago. So I'm not well seasoned, but the things I'm about to share with you are things that my well seasoned mamas have let me know are totally normal and happens to the best of us. I gave birth on my terrace outside my room here in the countryside of Bolivia, where me and my partner Simon live. So if you'd like to see that video on how that went, it was the birth of my dreams. And that video is kind of taken off with getting lots of views. So if you want to see that, that's right here. I love to relive it and go see it and rewatch it myself. All right, so let's jump right into it, yeah? Okay, let's start with breastfeeding can make you gain more weight and hold on to fat. I always heard that breastfeeding helps you drop the weight after you give birth. I gained about 25 pounds during my entire pregnancy. And so not a whole lot. I expected to gain a lot more. Within 10 days afterwards, I dropped almost all my weight. The swelling went down. I was like eating pretty decent. And then the appetite of my son picked up. So my appetite picked up. And then some stressful things about my son's stomach rose up and I dealt with for months. I was not getting good sleep until recently. And even now my routine's still off. So I even went on like an elimination diet for my son's gas issues and was eating like a bodybuilder, still kind of am, for a couple months, and the weight just will not come off. And I know it's because my stress cortisol levels have been high, and yeah, it's just difficult. So I didn't expect that. So no, you're not alone in that if the weight is not coming off and it's been 6 months up to a year even after your birth. Breastfeeding is a full-time job and it's not something you can wing. What I mean by that is like there's several reels I've seen on like Instagram that say, this many hours is in a year is how much time is spent breastfeeding. This many hours is how much time is spent on a full-time job working. And the breastfeeding is just a few hours less. I guarantee that for me personally, I was breastfeeding around the clock when this boy was born. And that's pretty common the first few weeks, but even then so, and it was kind of my fault. I was letting Tama just eat whenever he wanted to, like never saying no. So it really became like a safe, comforting place for him to be. Of course, that's natural. But I think I overdid it a little bit to where he was not breastfeeding 15 minutes at a time, like 15-minute breaks. Just in the last like 2.5 months, has he been able to take breaks for like 4 or 5 hours without breastfeeding. And when I say you can't necessarily wing it, I mean that it seems so natural. Like you breastfeed, what is there to learn? It should come natural to you. There's techniques that you have to know before you go into breastfeeding. Everyone I know recommended to me a lactation consultant, and I didn't see one until like 2 months in. One nipple of mine was hurting, the other one was fine. It was just really painful. There's one specific technique that this lactation consultant showed me that was a total game changer for me breastfeeding. And I did not see this technique on any of the like dozens of videos that I watched on YouTube. So I might make a video about this technique because everyone needs to know this. And I feel like it just makes breastfeeding so much easier. Hormones get the best of you even when everything is great. So just like I said earlier, I'm in a very fortunate position. I have a nanny. I had my parents were here for 2 weeks just to help me. They traveled all this way for my birth and to assist me postpartum. I even food prepped before. We had volunteers here cooking for us. I have been waited on hand and foot since I gave birth in many ways, and it still has been really, really hard. So don't feel overwhelmed or down on yourself. Like, you can still be grateful for your situation, and it can still be difficult and make you feel overwhelmed. Okay, totally normal. Sideline breastfeeding is key for recovery. It was about a week almost after I gave birth to Tama that I discovered sideline breastfeeding. I think I tried it like the first or second day, but I couldn't get it quite right until I saw an Instagram reel of the positioning this woman was showing. If you don't know what sideline breastfeeding is, it's just when you're like laying in bed on your side, boob is out, your baby's down, parallel with you, and you're breastfeeding. The first few days, I was sitting up like every time he wanted to eat, which was a lot. And so I was sitting on like my parts that I had just given birth in or given birth from. And so my recovery was like a lot less comfortable and my back was hurting, a lot of things. So I really recommend Sideline. Can take months for nipples to harden. The internet says like 1 to 2 weeks before your nipples adjust. One of mine took 2 months. The other one was fine. Also, one of your boobs is likely going to be much bigger than the other because one's going to produce more than the other. The one that doesn't produce as much is referred to as the slacker. This is very, very common. So, and I honestly don't know if they balance back out when you're done breastfeeding, but I really hope so. Hardest part is the no free hands navigating barnacle life. Okay, what I meant by this in my notes is I did not expect to literally my hands not being free. Like you see right now, this is a very rare moment as a new mom. I thought, the first couple weeks, lack of sleep, it was going to be hard, but then I was going to, I thought my baby was going to be taking these naps consistently, and I was going to have a couple hours throughout the day to be hands-free doing things. Or I thought, maybe I'll wake up before he does in the morning. Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. So I think that was just the biggest shock and hardest thing for me. And I'm still learning to do this, to like multitask while carrying and occupying my baby boy. He can sit up on his own now. He likes to sit in his little high chair, and like I can leave him on the floor. Really, I can occupy him in each space for like 10 minutes maximum. During the day, he takes about 3 naps, and I can lay him down for those. And I really try to, rather than carrying him, because it is hard on my back. But, if you want good practice and you're pregnant right now, try walking around with something the weight of a baby and doing an entire day or a couple of days like that, because it comes as a real shock. And I understand why. I've seen on Instagram, I think, or YouTube, it can take 2 years for a mother to really accustom herself to the role of being a mother. And I know what it means by that is like that your baby becomes like a part of you, and just becomes normal having to multitask and have a baby in your arms at the same time and juggle and watch and take care of. It takes time, but it eventually will happen. For me, I'm still definitely navigating that. Some days are easier than others. You might have to watch everything you eat. So my lactation consultant that I saw 2 months into breastfeeding told me I could eat whatever I want. Just don't smoke, just don't drink. And drinking is like a whole thing. You can drink while breastfeeding. At least they say that, but just, up to a certain amount. Look it up yourself and make your own choice on that. But I thought that I was going to be able to eat everything that I wanted. I noticed at the 3-week mark, this is a really long story. I'm just going to summarize this issue really quick. At the 3-week mark, Tama wasn't taking to my milk during the day. Like, he was really squirmy, throwing his head back, pushing away from my boob. And this went on until now. It's still going on. It's gotten a lot better since I introduced solids to him, and I could make a whole video on how I'm like healing his stomach, and also why I've discovered that he has stomach issues and is so sensitive to everything that I eat. He can eat the food himself without it irritating his stomach, but through my milk, when I eat onions, tomatoes, dairy, bread, like it's just fermented foods, when I eat those things myself, it just flares him up to where he wasn't able to breastfeed during the day without struggling for months and months and months, which meant I was walking around a lot carrying him because he wasn't sleeping. Yeah, it was a real struggle. So just know that there's a possibility to where you might have to actually watch a lot of what you eat. The first thing women cut out is dairy, and usually that fixes the problem. And to me, that would be a dream, even though it sounds like it'd be hard, you know? Incontinence until you do something about it. So, what I mean by this, all right, like you hear about the women peeing themselves after they give birth. I was already kind of struggling with this even when I was pregnant, like peeing myself a little bit here and there. But I had a very serious pelvic injury about 9 years ago. I don't know if that has something to do with it. I'm also in my mid to late 30s now. For my other friends who are in their mid 30s, they shared with me the same thing. 6 months, 9 months in, they're still having a hard time controlling their bladder whenever they sneeze or cough. And so I'm here to say, like, unless you're, in your early 20s or even mid to late 20s, I don't know, and it can just depend on the person. You might still be struggling with this until you actually do something about it, until you start doing Kegels regularly throughout your day as you're doing things. Kegels make such a massive difference. I notice if I do a little bit that I have more control very, very quickly. And there's free classes and things online that you can find towards that. Just know you're not alone. If you're still peeing yourself, it's okay. There was a time where I had to wear my son's cloth diaper inserts because every time I sneezed, it just happened, and I was getting annoyed with my underwear getting wet. The internet might not have all the answers to your questions. Your baby is unique, and you'll be forced to pay attention to your own intuition at some point because the internet might be wrong. I'm trying to think of why I wrote this down. Like if there was a particular thing, just what I said, like you can Google all day while you're pregnant as well. You can ask your friends for advice on what you should be doing in a certain situation. And you might figure out that the way that they do something doesn't work for you. Personally, for me, sleep training was something I never thought I would ever do. I was very turned off to it. And just the community that I followed and influenced the most by doesn't promote sleep training. But I got so desperate recently to just get Tama to sleep better at night because I've really been struggling. I don't do well with less sleep. And so I created my own style. I call it sleep guiding. And I didn't follow any specific sleep training method. Nothing really resonated with me. And some people said that it would be impossible for me to bed share or co-sleep in the same room with my baby while trying to sleep train them. So I just have listened to my own intuition with helping him, guiding him to sleep better through the night, not by what anyone else has told me. Like I literally have created this within my mind, within myself, which is so empowering, has really given me a lot of confidence. Another thing I want to explain is I live in a culture where it's very normal for Bolivians to give me tips, tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing very aggressively on the daily. Like every day I go out, people tell me my son should be wearing something different, and it drives me crazy. I've really had to learn to let go of that and not let it get me so boiled up. But I feel very strongly about some the things that he wears. My son runs hot. He can't wear a lot of clothes. He gets overheated, uncomfortable. We're here, they bundle up their kids very much. So I think in the journey of motherhood, you're going to learn quickly that just listen to you. You need to listen to your own intuition when it comes to things. Sure, there's going to be circumstances where a seasoned mother is going to give you a tip that could be a game changer, but that's your intuition as well telling you, oh, I should listen to this because I actually don't know a whole lot about this, and she does. And then you're going to try it, and it might work for you and it might not. Okay, the last thing I wanted to throw out there, actually, I didn't put this on the list, but this might be too much information. Your asshole might not ever be the same. I'm sorry, but it might take some time for things to go back to normal down there if you give birth vaginally. I didn't tear, but let me just say things change and get moved around. There's a lot of pressure on your rectum. Just know you're not alone if things feel different down there. Things will go back to normal for the most part. I feel like I could make a whole nother video about this, but my son and my partner are outside waiting for me to finish. So I hope I didn't speak too fast. I'm still on this journey, and I hope to make more content about this postpartum journey soon. So thanks for watching.